right? Also a learning opportunity. So, amortization table from scratch, right? Kamal purchased a vehicle for 8,500 bucks. She had to borrow 6,525, right? So what happened here? Well, a down payment was put down, so this is all you have left that she has left to borrow at this interest rate over 4 years. Complete the amortization table below. Before you even get started here, you need the monthly payment, right? That's your go-to, right? So that would be the first step. The payment is the loan, right, multiplied by table rate over 1,000. This formula I gave you, right? So if you have that on your study sheet, you know that it's a number divided by 1,000, and this is a table rate, not the interest rate, okay? So we go to our table and we just match 4 years at 5.25 down here. Right, just go down and just grab that value right there, 2321. Okay, so you go over here, 2321, and you come up with a payment, right? So this multiplied by 2321 divided by 1,000, you should get 151.45. Right, that's your payment. If you have that, you get 1 mark. Okay, so just put a mark down out of 1 next to this number if you have it. Yep. You round it to 46. That means that I will have to check my answer. Oh. Okay. You're splitting hair here. Okay. So if I look at this, right? I want to round to 2 decimals, so I look at the neighbor and it's a 5, right? So it bumps this to a 5. So because this is an AC, like I would still put an R next to it and like underline, but don't take marks off right now because it's gonna hurt you too much, right? So just make sure all your answers will be off by a cent from now on, right? So 1 mark, and it's supposed to be out of it's supposed to be 4 or 5. So if you made a mistake, this is what I do, right? I go check mark, but you will see rounding. You can assume that something went wrong with the rounding, but I see that everything else is correct. Okay. This is only worth 1 mark because I already gave you the number with like after the down payment, right? So you didn't have to figure that out. Okay, so in any rate, so if you put down that payment in for every single month, right? Dollar signs, right? I would be looking for that. And so that's the first step. And then you find the interest, the monthly interest, which is, I will show you the work here, right? It is the loan, right? 65.25 multiplied by the interest rate divided by 100, which is 0.0525. And then you divide that answer by 12. Otherwise, you find the interest for the whole year. And that gives you 28.55. So today we're more worried about, the steps, right? That's what I'm looking for today. So if you were off by a cent here, then most likely this will be off by a little bit, so we're not sweating it. 1 cent. Yeah, it could. So don't worry about it too much. And then the next step here is the principal, the monthly principal, right, is going to be found by going payment minus the interest for that month. Right, so it's 151.45 minus 28.55. That's the step, right, that I'm looking for there. So 151.45 minus 28.55, that's 122.90. And the calculator doesn't know that it's dollars, right? So it's just 0.9, right? So you have to make sure you put down the 0.90, right? That would also be a rounding mistake if you didn't do that. So today, don't worry about it. I would still put an R there if you didn't do it. And then this is the principal, which brings down the amount you owe them, which we call the unpaid balance, right? So it's minus 122.90. So that's 6,402 and 10 cents. That would be the first month. So if you got, obviously if the payment is wrong, all of these are going to be wrong, right? But if the steps were done correctly, if I can trace it back that you were doing this consistently, you get 1 mark for this first row correct. Okay? And then you carry this balance with you for the second month. So this would be 6402.10 times 0.0, right? 0.525 divided by 12. Right? And what you get there is 2801 if you did that, if everything is correct. So if I see that you're using this for your second month, and obviously this will be wrong if your payment was wrong, but don't take off again, right? You just lose the first row there. And then you subtract these two again to get your principal. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just check here. 123.44 is what you're supposed to get here. And then you take that off of the 6402. Being very careful not to, because what's going to upset you here is the little things, right? If you're not careful when you type it into your calculator and you're rushing, that mistake up here is going to carry through everywhere, and that's going to be unpleasant, right? You're not going to like that. So there's another mark if you did this correctly. And then one more line. I'm using this now to find my interest, so that I'm going to write down. Okay. And it's still 0.0525 divided by 12. And that gives you 27.47, right? Because this should slowly go down, right? The interest paid every month. And subtracting these two, you get 123.98. Okay. And taking the unpaid balance minus the monthly principal for this month, that is 6154.68. And I'm just going to check here. 61, yeah, this is what you're supposed to get. So another mark for doing that correctly. So if you make a mistake somewhere up here on the first row, take off 1 mark. But if you carry that with you and you do the next 2 lines correctly, you would still get 2 out of 3 for this table, right? So if you're doing this at home, if you're marking this at home, question 1, right, is out of 4. Okay, so put a mark out of 4 there. If you got your payment right and everything else wrong, you still get 1 out of 4, right? If you did a significant amount of work here in this table, I would say minimum is 2 out of 4, right? Just to make it easier marking wise. Okay. Aren't these fun? The tables are so much fun, especially on an early morning. Nothing better to wake up to than an amortization table, right? I can just feel the energy in the room. They're just like excited. Anyways, how much interest did Kamal pay after the first 3 months? And I talked about that, right? It's these 3 values added up. So whatever you got there, right? Whatever you got in these 3 boxes, if you added those up, you get the mark here. Okay? And it should be 8403. So for B, if you added up these 3 boxes, Doesn't matter what you had in there. If it's thousands of dollars, it doesn't matter. This is showing me that you understand what would need to be done to get that amount. You're getting it from the right place. That's the interest, this column here, which is interest, right? And then C is how much interest will Kamal have paid over 4 years. So this, ladies and gentlemen, that's the TI. If you have that formula on your study sheet, go get it. I think it's on page 15 or something in that neighborhood. Total interest is going to be found by going payment times the number of years times 12, right? So this is how much you will have paid the bank in total, and then you subtract the loan from it. The loan is always in front of that table rate when you're finding the payment, and so that gives you, let me just figure that out here. I want to make sure I get that right. 151.45. This is 7,269.60 minus 6,525. So this is a small loan, right? Smaller loan. So it's 744.60 cents total for that question there. So out of six, add it up, and then you submit it online. But I want to take the paper copies from you folks. Take a picture, submit it online, and then I'll get it from you. It doesn't matter what you got. Historically speaking, okay, I've done this many times. This isn't going to look very good, okay? Overall, it might not look the greatest, right? I might look at your tables like, whoa, right? I might have some nightmares. I'll recover from it, but then we'll do another one, and you get a little bit better, right? And so don't sweat it too much if you didn't do this well. It's a tough concept for a lot of us to wrap our head around. Okay, so you will see this again. You will see this again on ACs. You will see this again on some worksheets that I have for you. So by the time we're ready to write our test, right, you'll have a pretty good grasp on things. Okay, so it's up online. So if you could submit it there. And then we'll continue with leasing, okay? So upload it for now before we continue. It's up there. If you can upload it, do it. If not, take a picture at least so that you have a copy of the work for yourselves. And I can just enter it manually if you don't want to upload it, okay? But I would prefer that. Then it's all in one spot.